Roll call, please, Amy.
Mr. Taylor?
Here.
Mr. Baradelli?
Aye.
Mr. Schuster? Mr. Marasini?
Here.
Ms. Tucker?
Here. Here, get you a little water.
Yeah, that public. Who's on there then?
There's only one. Right?
Just
Anybody else
one.
want to sign?
I do.
There you go.
Please make a note that Mr. Schuster's around.
Just trying to.
You on?
Bill?
Start with Mr. Jurek. There you go. Can I have that, please?
Do you want to cover your business and I can do this in the engineering section? It's to go over the stuff we talked about at the last meeting. It's up to you.
All right, we can do that. Mrs. Stoops?
I actually wanted to discuss my past bill. Hasn't been paid. I'm asking for some leniency, even if it goes away, because after multiple floods, I'm actually broke replacing everything that you guys are not responsible for. So in case anybody, every time it floods, this is what we clean up over and over and over again. So, I don't know if you have to do it in executive session, but just remember in February, this will be a year.
We don't want to discuss our bill and
Let's go into executive session now so nobody have to wait.
make a motion.
Make a motion to go into executive session.
We'll make that motion.
Motion by Mr. Schuster,
Second.
second by Mr. Taylor.
Mr. Taylor?
Aye.
Mr. Baradelli?
Aye.
Mr. Schuster?
Aye.
Mr. Marasini?
Aye.
Ms. Tucker?
Everybody please leave the room.
Here's the bill.
Stay.
No, we don't. It's all board members. All
Ready? All right, I need a motion to return to regular business.
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Mr. Taylor,
Second.
second by Mr. Schuster. Amy, please call the roll.
Mr. Taylor?
Aye.
Mr. Baradelli?
Aye.
Mr. Schuster?
Aye.
Mr. Marasini?
Aye.
Ms. Tucker?
Okay, has everybody had a chance to review the minutes, both meetings? The regular meeting and the regular meeting on the 28th and the special, the regular meeting was the 18th, special meeting the 28th. I do have one correction, Amy, on the, let me see what page it is.
Right there. Isn't that it right there?
Yeah, but there's no page number. That should read infiltration instead of iodine.
Okay.
Or I.
Or I&I, infiltration and inflow.
Okay.
Either way you wanna. That's the only thing I had. All right. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes as corrected?
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Mr. Taylor,
Second.
second by Mrs. Tucker.
Mr. Taylor?
Aye.
Mr. Baradelli?
Aye.
Mr. Schuster?
Aye.
Mr. Marasini?
Aye.
Ms. Tucker?
Aye.
Oh, I'm sorry, is it Miss Tucker?
Yes, miss.
Oh, I'm sorry, I called.
I'm single, I'm available.
Has everybody reviewed the treasurer's report?
Yep.
Okay, and the bills? Can I have a motion to approve the revenue report and pay the bills?
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Mr. Taylor,
Second.
second by Mr. Schuster.
Mr. Taylor?
Aye.
Mr. Baradelli?
Aye.
Mr. Schuster?
Aye.
Mr. Marasini?
Aye.
Ms. Tucker?
Aye.
Okay. You're gonna cover correspondence in your report, Tom? Okay, we'll go to the manager's report next.
I will do correspondences.
Okay,
First one was a letter to Stacy Greenwald. We were just copied, a letter to DEP, and Carroll Township, the corrective action plan. Number 2 is a certificate of accreditation received December 24th for the PADEP for our laboratory. Number 3 is a letter dated January 2nd, 2019 from Beth Abrahamson resigning as office manager. Do we want to act on that at this time, or?
It's up to the board.
We could do that. All right, I need a motion to promote Amy Nolte to the
No.
position, oh, sorry.
Yes.
Oh, accept the
Accept the resignation.
okay, I need a motion to accept the best resignation.
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Mr. Taylor,
Second.
second by Ms. Tucker.
Mr. Taylor?
Aye.
Mr. Bardelli? Mr. Schuster?
Aye.
Mr. Marasini?
Aye.
Ms. Tucker?
Aye.
Then continue, Tom.
Number 4 is a closing binder received from Jeffrey Mills and his bond counsel, dated January 7th for the Sewer Revenue Bond Series 2018. Number 5 is the annual report to the EPA that I do once a year. So I submitted it January 8th, that is for the year 2018. 6 is a letter received from the Washington County regarding the Tier 2 reporting program. Number 7 is a letter that received today, January 14th, addressed to Mr. Salak and Mr. Marasini from the Donora Borough, requesting that myself and Lou attend their council work sessions and council meetings.
All of them?
And that's what the letter states,
That's
sir.
what the letter states, yeah.
I have no questions on those. I'll move forward on
Go ahead, keep going, Tom.
on my manager's report. First thing I'd like to do is to welcome Catherine Tucker to the board. Welcome.
Welcome, Mr.
We've already done the resignation. Next thing I would like to do is, we looked into a company called Smart Bill, outside billing company. I think I put a paper in everybody's envelope. Looks like yes. Got it? Okay. What we did was we contacted a company to do the mailings of our bills, okay? I'll go through this roughly, that they want to charge 52.5 cents per piece. We have 5,500 pieces. It gives us a rough bill of $2,887.50, okay? And that would include postage, the printing of envelopes, and packaging them. And I can tell you that we paid at our last mailing $2,518, okay? So after looking into this, I'm wondering, why in the heck are we still doing it ourselves at this cost? Okay, I'm asking for the board's permission to look forward into this and to see if we could get an outside agency to do this.
These setup fees, is that a one-time fee?
I would
I
imagine.
imagine,
Okay.
okay, but she did tell me the fees would be 52.5 cents. It includes one color, the number 9 envelope that we do, that they submit our bills back in, okay, and number 10 envelope that has a window. All these fees would be, all those costs would be included in
That
this.
include postage?
And
Yeah.
the postage.
And postage, really?
Yes.
Just postage in January was,
$2,500 in postage alone.
that was just postage alone.
Yeah, and they roughly want to charge us $2,900 to do this for us.
Well, if you just stuff the computers all day, our bills wouldn't be high.
No, I mean, that's most common sense, because we pay more than that in labor.
I could tell you, we spent roughly 2.5 days doing the bills, and we struggled, because we have never, let me put it this way, I've never done them before, okay?
I saw that this morning.
All right, and
Are any companies around here that you've reached out to?
we reached out to this one, this is who Shawway uses, Shawway Water Authority.
So it's a
okay?
different of what, 200, 300 bucks?
Yeah, $400, Yancy, for $400, okay? But I'm not, you know, I don't know what the, I do know what the cost of the envelopes and the printing and that kind of stuff. I'm just saying, you know, for $400, it also includes that.
So this is the total price,
That's what she told me.
$2,887.50.
And if we'd like to look into it further, to ease of the burden in our office.
When did she give you this? When did they give you this? Does this include the newest postage?
This was on
Cause you know it went up.
January 2nd, okay? But yeah, you're correct, that's correct, the postage went up, so they told me they'll package their bills different than us, and the postage would be less for them.
Okay.
That was
Bulk
the,
mailing.
Probably bulk mail up and get a couple
you know,
cents off.
I guess, like, and I'll just use the scenario of Washington County Housing Authority. Instead of us sending, I'll say 12 bills out in separate envelopes, they would package them all in one.
Well, if we're in a struggle right now, I think we should act on this quick. You need to get the bills and stuff up, correct?
And we did, and we had a heck of a time doing it, okay?
You guys wanna go with this?
Yeah.
Everybody pitched in, that's all I could say on that.
So we need a motion?
Motion to move forward with the, what's the name of the company?
What's your name?
Not good.
Smart Bill
Smart Bill,
Corporation.
I see on
What
the
is it?
bottom.
Bottom,
Smart Bill Corporation.
Oh, okay. Need a motion to approve the hiring of Smartville Corporation?
Bill LTD. I'll make that motion.
Smartville Ltd.
I second it.
Motion by Mr. Schuster, second by Ms. Tucker. I'll get it right before the end of the night.
Mr. Taylor?
Aye.
Mr. Dardelli?
Aye.
Mr. Schuster?
Aye.
Mr. Marasini?
Aye.
Ms. Tucker?
Aye.
Thank you. I'd like to report, Jason and myself attended the LSA grant for the blower project. We applied for $429,500 grant. We were earmarked $350,000 on a grant, if nobody saw that in the paper.
Thank you both.
You're welcome, sir.
And I'd like to thank both you and Sean for pitching in to help Amy out in the office.
Well,
I appreciate
I would
that.
just like to take this time, that I would also like to thank them, but the board does need to know that, we are doing our darndest to hold that office together and try to do what we need to do, make sure all the bills are getting paid, and it's not a simple task, okay? Just by going through emails that don't come to either one of us, and we're trying to get through all of that, okay? I just want you all to understand, we're having a heck of a time in that office. And Sean has pitched in, and Amy's doing a heck of a job. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for helping out. Go ahead, Doug, sorry.
I would like to report, we did not do shut-offs in Menneson last month, is that correct?
In December?
In December?
Yes.
And then we didn't do Denora in January.
We didn't do posting in Denora.
Okay, we did the posting in Denora,
We
and
did
that's
not.
all due to not having the
Paperwork.
paperwork and office manager in place, okay? Just wanted you to know that. If people call you and say, this, you know, we have had people contact, why didn't we do shut-offs? Okay.
Think they'd be happy that we
But
could shut
so
it
you
off.
know, but, we are gonna do our darndest to get back at it this month, okay?
Okay.
And the other thing that you've seen, that I was requested to attend the borough's work sessions and meetings.
I
Does
can
he
tell
have
you
to
right
attend them
now,
all?
I can tell you right now, that's not happening. There's no reason for you to be at the borough meetings.
I just
You're a
need-
plant manager, you're our employee, not theirs.
I'm just telling you what I was requested, okay? I have never,
Request denied.
Who sent you the letter?
the borough,
Did they say what for?
No.
May want to just reconsider that and say, you know, attend these meetings when there are issues involving the authority.
Yeah.
I still don't think Tom should be involved in it. I mean, it's not up to me, but I don't think he should be
I-
involved in it.
I
Who's
should-
gonna cover him for the hour, who's gonna cover his wages for the hours he's at the meeting?
I could
The
tell
borough
you,
gonna pick that up?
I could tell you,
When's their
I would
meetings?
just,
They have, first Thursday is their,
Times?
6 p.m. First meeting is the first Thursday, then their council meeting is the second Thursday. So they want him to attend 2 meetings a month plus our meeting.
No, I can say, I'm not sure exactly, wasn't aware that it was both meetings. I think we just more or less, I may be stepping over my boundaries here, whatever, but I think it was more like as if we had a question, and like you said, if something comes down the line and we have a question about something, then I think it should be as a as-meeting basis. That if we said, hey, can somebody attend?
That's fine.
That's
That's
fine.
better.
I'm fine with that.
I'll go back with Mr. Bender and I'll tell the council, because I think that was too much.
I think we all would agree that anytime that there was a question, or if
You're
you
willing to
needed,
come.
anytime you had a question for me, or for the authority to help, I don't know how to say this, but I'm saying, I've always been there for the
All
borough.
I'm saying is I knew they had a question about, because you know, the Kunzes had questions about the sewage, and I think someone on council just said, well, hey, they should come here and be able to answer that. But I don't think you need to attend every meeting
Okay.
that we have.
That's no
But
problem.
I'll go back with it and explain. That was a little excessive,
All right, thanks for this
okay?
question.
And I'll say that if we have a specific one we want you to attend,
Please
then
ask.
we will ask you previously to that meeting, instead of saying, we want
That's
you at
fine.
every work session council meeting.
Thank
That's
you.
fine. Thank you very much.
All right, I'll pass that along.
Continue, Mr.
The last thing, we did discuss, I think at the last meeting, the dam height
Yeah.
at the far end of Denora, that was lowered today to within what we could lower it to, okay? Just wanted to inform the board of that.
That's without the jackhammer, or with the jackhammer?
They jackhammered
They
today, I
jackhammered
think,
it out.
Sean?
Yes, they jackhammer today down to
Thanks.
pretty much solid rebar.
And, where was it located? Like the report said it was originally at 2 inches, and you added a 20.
Will you wait until the engineer's report, please?
Okay.
Go ahead.
That's all I have, sir.
Okay.
No.
Thank you.
Now the engineer's report.
Okay, do you just want me to?
Oh, I'm sorry, I skipped one, sorry. So let's-
Sorry, I'll be
sorry,
brief, it's
Casey. Go ahead.
It's okay.
The, Westmoreland County taxes, no movement on that issue. The other issue, again, I reported last month, it looked like we were gonna be able to close on the property down the road. That's not the case because there were some corporate documents required from Delaware, that they're still putting together, and there was a release necessary from MIDA, which is now, I forget the converted name, but they have a meeting Wednesday. They're gonna sign a release, which basically gives, the right for him to sell property he purchased from MIDA. So we'll have that release in hand supposedly at the 16th meeting. That'll be forwarded to the title company, and I believe other than that, there were some small things that needed from the corporation out of Delaware, P&I Partners. After that, they will give us a date, scheduled closing, so I do believe it'll be done by the next meeting date. Other than that, I have no report unless there's a question.
Oh, did Carroll Township they never got back to us, huh?
Never.
Never. Okay, now it's your turn.
Okay. Just general business on the CSO treatment facility, that is operational. We'll be beginning the testing period on or about February 15th, the 6-month testing period that was previously discussed. So we'll be moving forward there. On the Denora Pump Station screening project, we are nearing completion of that design for bidding. That also received an LSA grant the previous round. So we'll be partly funding that project. The Clean and TV project, that's very much nearing completion, but they are approaching the 60-day extension that the authority awarded to them, so we'll have to keep tabs on that here coming next board meeting, and hopefully they'll be completed.
Can you apply for the LSA money for the same project the following year, or does it have to be a different project?
And just, the way I understand it, as long as the project has not started, would just saying, if a project's already started, I don't think you
You
can.
can't ask for more money.
If you already put the shovel in and started to work on it, you cannot ask for funding for it.
Go ahead, sorry.
No worries. So the most recent project the authority was just awarded grant money on was for the blower improvements project. You've authorized that design to begin. We're underway on that assignment. Relative to the footing issue, we delivered the report to you at the last regular board meeting. As Mr. Salak reported, the dam was lowered. Sean has showed me a picture of it. Was lowered to about 5.5 inches. There's 4 inches of water in the pipe as they spoke. I say there's 4 inches of water. There's 4 inches in the pipe. That's a very high silt debris site. So that may not actually be 4 inches of water because there's a lot of debris on the bottom of it. I think Sean said his staff just cleaned that out last week, and it almost immediately fills up with debris again. So Sean's staff lowered it to what they thought was as low as possible without discharging 24/7, which you cannot do. So they gave yourselves about 1 inch to 1.5 inches of breathing room for wet weather conditions. The flow monitors are in the ground. We're awaiting to receive the first month of data for that. And we've reduced the our recommended number of grinder pumps if the authority still chooses to go that direction. We're down to only about 6 that would be absolutely necessary, with 6, I'll say additional maybes. But that's down from the 30 that was like the worst case scenario. That's pretty much the status of that project.
Does that reduction in pumps take into account still needing to construct a tank, or does that eliminate the tank, or would it go back to 30 if the tank is removed from the project in its entirety?
The tank is still subject to results of the flow monitoring and ultimate evaluation of whether that's necessary or not. I would say that ideally the grinder pump should resolve the issue, but we have to see the results of the flow monitoring and further evaluate everything that's occurring.
So we're hoping to get a big range, so we have like a
that's
like a general idea what
that's
the
a double.
flow.
It's a double-edged sword, right?
Well, yeah, I know you're not, but I'm just saying, the flow's gonna show.
I mean, getting rainfall would help with the flow monitoring, but that's the problem with the wait-and-see approach of the lowering of the dam. Is I was asked, how do we absolutely assure that flooding is not going to occur anymore, and that's what the recommendation of the grinder pumps were. Could the lowering of the dam significantly improve the situation? Absolutely.
How long are we gonna flow monitor?
Ideally, we're not in a good time to flow monitor.
Yeah, that's what I know.
You
Snow.
should really wait for snow melts in the springtime. So we got them in the ground in case you get a odd rain as soon as possible. But really, the data that needs to be collected is once you start to have snow melts and
Rain.
rain in the spring.
Now your question.
Do you want me to go back through what I discussed at the last meeting when Jason was there, start from the beginning?
Do you have a specific question?
Well,
Go ahead.
I wanted to try to understand this interceptor between sewer shed 17 that flowed to the north pumping station and the other sewer sheds that actually are designed to flow into the north pumping station.
They're both designed to flow into the.
Yeah, but I mean in terms of how big is the main line in sewer shed 17? Because it sounds like there's this 36-inch interceptor interconnector line that comes off of it. So I'm trying to understand how this works.
The 36-inch line drains sewer shed 17, and then there's a smaller 8-inch pipe that drains from that pipe to the interceptor. The pipe coming down 17 is so much larger because it's carrying combined sewage.
Okay.
So the flow that can't go through that 8-inch pipe goes to the river.
So then you're saying it's an 8-inch pipe that is flowing to the north pumping station?
No, from 36 from the 36-inch pipe. There's a manhole with a dam in it, and then there's an 8-inch pipe that goes from there to the interceptor, and then the interceptor goes and varies in size as it travels and gets larger gradually as it gets to the water pump station. I don't know what those sizes are off the top of my head, but.
Because, I mean, from your report,
And that was those sizes I just said were per when it was originally constructed back in '68.
well, no, because this talks about 2/3 of a full 36-inch pipe was conveyed to the interceptor tributary to the north pumping station.
That's the pipe. The pipe that's the 36-inch pipe is coming from 17. So you have 2/3 of a 36-inch pipe pressurizing an 8-inch pipe going to the interceptor. So that was when there was a 14-inch dam and a 12-inch screen on top of that. Since the 12-inch screen has been removed and the 14-inch dam has been taken from 14 inches down to about 5.5 inches.
Okay, so my question is, what is the size of the pipe that actually flows into the north pumping station?
That interceptor gradually increases from 8 inches to, Sean, do you know offhand what it is at the where?
At the station, it is a 12 or 10, I can't know off the top of my head.
Again, that's
Yes.
dates to the
Yes, sir.
60s.
Okay, so when they talk about the 2/3 of a full 36-inch pipe that was conveyed there, and they're saying that capacity exceeded and backed up. So when I read the report, I may be biased, but it sounds like the flooding problems at the north pumping station were precipitated by flow from sewer shed 17, getting in there and then backing up the flow that was supposed to be coming down.
That's a correct statement. Yep.
So that when I hear 24 inches of 36-inch pipe was flowing there, that's where I talked last meeting, that's about 4,000 to 6,000 gallons per minute that would have been flowing.
Well, it wasn't all getting to the pump station. It's pressurizing an 8-inch pipe, and as much as possible that can force through that pipe is trying to get to the interceptor. So that's why I said, that's why we've lowered that dam as much as possible.
So then, to calculate 24 inches of water is not correct. I need to go back and redo the calculations using a 12-inch.
Well, it's the 8-inch pipe, and then you would need to know the head, which is, we've now decreased over that 8-inch pipe.
Yeah, but if your 8-inch pipe and your 12-inch pipe are full, and they have to flow at 2 to 3 feet per second to keep the flow, to keep the solid suspended,
Yep.
I can do that calculation and figure out what volume is flowing through that line.
Okay.
And then the other question I'd have is, what is the pump capacity? What is the pump capacity of the North Station pumps?
I think it's about 500,000 gallons per day, but again, I'm Sean. I might have to
500,000
see
per
if you
day.
remember that offhand.
You don't remember it?
I don't remember it offhand.
Okay, because I mean, my problem is, I read this report and it points to Sioux Shed 17.
That's a major issue, absolutely.
And we're gonna have people have to put these grinder pumps in when we may not have determined that they're necessary.
I believe I just said that.
Yeah,
That I don't.
so, because, and we treated Ruth and Randy's place as the equalization tank during the flood, essentially. And when I read the report, it talks about once we do the flow study, we're gonna determine if an equalization tank is even necessary.
Correct.
And so if the determination is it wasn't necessary, that would say that adjusting the dam would have led to no flooding in their basement because they were the equalization tank.
Is lowering the dam going to help? Yes. I'm not sure what the question was.
My
Sorry.
point is, if you lower that dam,
Right.
and you do your flow study,
Yep.
and your engineer comes back and says an equalization tank is not necessary.
Okay.
Because they say if it's determined to be necessary, which means they're allowing for the fact that it may not be necessary.
Right. I agree.
If they come back and say it's not necessary, then we would know that all the water that flowed from sewer shed 17 was the problem, because an equalization tank is no longer necessary. They were the equalization tank last year because the water was flowing in from sewer shed 17.
Okay,
That's my point. So we may not need the grinder pumps.
I agree.
We may be forcing people to take these and have to pay for them. Not the initial cost, but the electricity, the maintenance, the replacement, and they may not be necessary. And if we haven't determined that they are necessary, why are we subjecting, because I'm gonna be one of them, why are we being subjected to having to put these in when we don't know if they're necessary?
That's what he's doing the flow for.
That's why the
I
study.
know, but this is talking about putting them in before doing the flow, putting them in on an emergency basis.
Right, because my concern is, my number one assignment was to make sure that Mrs. Kuntz does not have a flooded basement again. So if we lower
Oh, wait,
the
wait,
dam,
wait, wait, wait. Your number one thing was what?
assignment was to make sure she doesn't get sewage in her basement
Shouldn't it be
again.
the whole community?
Well, she's the
Which
lowest
is
point.
why
Okay.
I've then recommended that you have to do more than just
Okay.
her house. We've
Okay.
made that recommendation. So would I like to wait and see and save money for the authority and its residents? Absolutely, but I don't think we have the choice to wait and see.
How we saving money? We're spending $500,000 to build this tank.
I haven't recommended you build a tank.
Well, you said in the last meeting that was your,
No, they're doing a study for
Oh,
There's
it.
a
yeah.
study
Okay,
to see if
sorry.
the tank is necessary.
okay.
Now, where is sewer shed 17?
It's
It's between 10th and 12th Street in the north. So between the old bridge and 12th Street.
I just have a question. So before you did any work down there, they never had a problem before?
No.
the CSO that used to be there used to relieve the flow before going into her basement. Yes, unfortunately, sanitary sewer systems don't have a overflow. The overflows are no longer legal from a sanitary sewer system.
Okay. My question is before she didn't have any problems. That's what I was gonna know, yes or no. Before
Before the
we did
sewer
any work on it.
separation project,
there
there
was no
weren't
problem?
problems. Well, as far as I know.
Okay.
That they're not necessary. Is the sewage authority gonna come take them out at their cost?
I don't know that.
Or are certain homeowners gonna be burdened with this when it wasn't necessary? And I understand the trade-off between, you know, the belt and suspenders of doing this and the equalization tank to prevent flooding. I understand that.
Well, the tank is for sure a to be determined.
Right. And if
The-
if it's not necessary, then
Correct.
you could argue.
But the grinder pump
pumps weren't either.
was, when we met with DEP, you know, it was, that is, when they see basement flooding, they want to see you take action to make sure it doesn't happen again, where the rate, lowering the dam is gonna significantly reduce the amount of water getting to North Pump Station. Do I know that that is going to eliminate the problem? I can't say that.
How much are the pumps? What were the cost of the pumps?
We estimated around $10,000 a piece probably. That's what
How many we need to get?
now we're down to 6 for sure and 6 more potentially.
That's just the cost of them, or that's the cost
I would say
of
that would be
installation?
installed. I mean, that's, every home is gonna be unique
Right.
based on space, based on electricity availability, if a new panel's need, I mean, there's
So
every
we're
house
looking
is
at
gonna be unique.
$120,000 for 12 of them.
Correct.
Who's gonna put them in? We are.
The authority would do that under emergency contract that was already.
Well, I was gonna raise the issue. The emergency was 3 months ago, or 3.5, 4 months ago, okay? It's been debated, DEP stepped in, we were supposed originally under emergency to put backflow preventers in.
Right.
That was what we agreed to do on an emergency basis and do that like yesterday. That's what we talked about.
Wait. We were supposed to, we agreed to do that?
You passed that motion, that's
So
correct.
why didn't it get done?
Because he met with DEP,
Oh, they said we couldn't do
and
it.
they presented information.
Said you could.
And then they said that should now look, as
Differences.
opposed to the backflow preventers, you need to look towards the grinder pumps. So then that then changes his calculations, and he has to go back and revisit the project itself, which now puts me in a different set of mindset, because initially it was, let's correct this as soon as possible, because we're having problems. Apparently, we've not had any since, because we go down there and pump out when a rainstorm comes down, is my understanding. We've not had any since. So now I'm beginning to question whether we can do this on an emergency basis or have to go through bid process at this juncture. I mean, we've changed this project now from what we initially were determined we need to do and have changed that. So that's gonna take some consideration and discussions between our offices, obviously, to determine if that's still gonna be on that same emergency basis or bid, quite frankly.
Well, I think Mr. Jerick should have the question as to why he's telling the engineer what the engineer should have been telling him.
He was
No, it-
purely giving his.
Yeah, it was his report that I read and questioned.
Anything he said, his observations were very accurate.
Okay.
I don't take exception to anything Mr. Jerick said.
Well, Mr. Boswell's saying that.
So now we have to figure out if it's a biddable project or if we can still get the emergency.
Right, what I'm saying now is based upon the change of the project itself.
Yeah.
You didn't authorize grinder pumps initially, and we didn't make a motion to amend that, to my my recollection.
I'd have to see the motion, we'd have to look back at the minutes, I
Yeah,
know.
I think we were kind of sitting
Yeah, that's why it was done. Thought we
at a
would-
guesstimated cost, now if we threw that in, but we did an emergency basis.
The $500,000 was
Yeah,
the number that
that-
was.
we threw
and
it.
that would have been, a number of that magnitude is larger than what the backflow preventers would have been.
Sure.
So I thought that we amended the motion to include grinder pumps, my
Yeah.
recollection, but I could be wrong.
We may have, and a lot of business transacted back and forth over the
What
past
can
several
we
months.
do this evening to answer this man's question on what are we?
Well, I'm hearing concerns from your customers that they're questioning whether moving forward with a project of significant expense if lowering the dam has resolved the problem. I can't tell you for certain whether lowering the dam will have solved the problem or not. So he definitely has it's a valid point. But I think the decision has to be made about whether you want to absolutely solve the problem with a more significant investment, or you want to try and wait and see if lowering the dam solves the problem.
Well, what you mean by significantly, more money, spend more money?
Yes, installing grinder pumps would be more expensive than you've basically lowered the dam for a day of two guys labor today.
I think, as a board, we wanna try to eliminate the problem. We don't wanna keep having issues. I think that, the more issues you have, the more problems will occur, so I think we should, decide what we're gonna do here as far as moving forward. So what's our options? As far as those applicants?
Presenting to you, I question whether it is still an emergency basis for installation of anything without further discussion with the engineer. Based upon the fact that, again, yes, we deemed it an emergency 4 months ago, 4.5 months ago, wherever that would have been. It was deemed an emergency situation. And I agreed at that point, and I think that would be the case. We proceeding differently than what we perceived as the emergency situation at that time, and there has been some type of corrective action in some respects, I don't want to say, to see what the results would be, as well as conduct monitoring. That being the case, you may have to sit back and reflect whether the results of the monitoring, whether that take place a few months from now, will indicate to us whether or not it's necessary to even take that next step, which then I believe, now that we're discussing that, removes from the realm of an emergency situation, installation without a bid.
Should we have to talk to the DEP again?
I'm just having an issue with,
No.
I'm having an issue with proceeding in an emergency situation and basis after the emergency was
Yeah.
4+ months ago, and it's now.
My question is to this authority is, Mr. Jerick, brought up a great valid point. My question to our engineer is, what do you think the best solution is going forward? So you get with the solicitor and make a determination. I think we have to.
I think he identified that 4 months ago, and that was, the ultimate solution was the backflow preventer, which is now converted from DEP, from their recommendation, to a grinder pump system. Once that then changed, I don't think the tank is gonna change, but that was the ultimate answer at that juncture. I don't think that's going to change,
Tom, do you remember?
unless he does the analysis
Can I ask?
and reviews those results, and we would have an accurate
Let me
answer.
ask Tom a question. Do you remember us making a motion to approve these grinder pumps?
I think that we have discussed that at length,
Okay.
two months ago, whatever.
So we discussed it
That's
2
what-
months ago.
That was brought up after we mentioned that we met with DEP on another meeting. While we were at that meeting, I forget the lady's name.
Stacy Greenwald.
Okay, came out, discussed, that she had a phone call. We discussed this issue with DEP and said we were gonna install backflow preventers. That's whenever DEP's recommendation to us was that they do not want backflow preventers, they want grinder pumps, and that's when we brought that to the board.
That meeting was, if I, it's going by memory, it was sometime in the beginning of December, in November, and the beginning of December. Would that be accurate?
Can we pull it, or?
I think it was before that, but
I think it
anyhow,
was-
whenever
I
we
think it
met.
I think it was in November.
November's meeting, I
Okay, I'm
believe.
just saying that whenever we met with DEP, to discuss phase 3,
Regardless,
this is when this was discussed, and then we came back and discussed that with the board.
It was at the November 14th meeting.
You have a copy of November's, board, or meeting, or somebody have a copy of that? Can we get a copy, see if we made the motion? Would you happen to have a
well,
copy,
I
Amy?
think that's irrelevant really at this moment.
Well, no, if we approved it to spend this money, why ain't we acting on it?
He just,
I think we are, Mr. Taylor, I think that, we're waiting to see the flow studies to
Okay.
see if they show us anything, cause that's the simplest way I
Yeah.
could say that,
All right.
okay? Like Mr. George keeps on, brings up that, why are we spending this money if we don't need to? I think that's the process of doing the flow study, cause at that time, we did not do a flow study at the beginning, okay? But once we do a flow study, it should answer some questions. Is that a fair statement?
better,
Now that the dam is lowered, yes.
it'll better clarify, what,
The need
what
for the
may or may
pumps
not be
are not
necessary. Correct?
Right, just as long as the board understands, in the meantime, if a flooding condition could occur.
But he goes and checks and pumps the basement up.
That
So is there an
needs
alarm
to
down there
happen.
that goes off when I'm getting ready to flood?
Pump,
I thought there was something that was supposed to be put in the pump station. You remember that, Jens? That some kind of alarm
I
that,
do get a high wet well alarm when the pump station goes into high wet well alarm.
My question is, what can we do now to move forward or take the next step? I mean, we're sitting here for,
Well, we have to figure out if it's legal for us to.
We're compiling data is the simplest way we could say that right now.
did that answer your question?
No, well,
Okay.
I'm fine with that. My other question was back when we were talking about emergency, I don't ever remember hearing any discussion about the flow that was coming from sewer shed 17. It was all the flow from the flooding was caused by our downspouts in our neighborhood. And until we got this report, I don't think anybody,
I spoke of it previous.
okay, I've never heard of it.
yeah, you talk about coming off the hill.
Yeah, it's the only, if there's one
But that
combined
coming off the
sewer shed,
hill is what comes down 14th Street,
there
that is
is-
still part
That is a
of,
significant separate sewer
Yeah.
shed, correct.
but I've
And-
never heard any discussion about this combined sewer shed 17. I don't ever remember hearing that being identified or explicitly stated in a meeting. So, I mean, so when we were talking about the emergency, I thought it was all of our downspouts were causing the problem, and that's all I'd heard was the downspout issue. The first time I had heard about sewer shed 17 was when I read the report. So I don't know when you guys discovered that was a problem, but like, for example, when she was speaking to the insurance company, was that ever discussed with the insurance company as a possible cause for her flooding, or was it just the downspouts in Genora?
Our lawyer can answer that.
There's a significant amount of factors taken into account when the analysis was performed with the insurance company. I just know what, I can't speak to what anybody else would have discussed with the adjuster. I did not have that conversation with her.
Did
That's what
anybody
you're
say to
asking
the
me.
adjuster?
I did not know.
One of the problems was we had this dam too high, and it caused an increased flow into the system. It could have caused the flooding.
It was an independent analysis performed by the company. I have no idea what they all placed together to perform that analysis and issue the denial letter.
Mr. Vila?
And I don't wanna say, it was the height that it was in accordance with work that was taking place with DEP back 10, 15,
Oh, no,
20
and I
years
understand,
ago.
I understand it was raised per DEP requirement.
Correct.
Now, there was an extra 12 inches that was not the DEP's responsibility, it was the fact that it
No,
became blinded.
They require you to do screening as well, that's one
Yeah,
of
but
the
they don't
primary
require you to
controls.
let it completely block
Well,
off.
the only thing you can do, the authority is,
I can't have my man
is,
inside the manhole and
We
something.
have
What's the
personnel
word?
that maintain those daily.
right,
Yes.
but in the midst of an event, there's
So
nothing you
it
can
wasn't
do.
that it hadn't been cleaned, it was the
No,
first
they
time
have
it gets hit with
records and
flow,
they
it's
keep
still in
track
there.
of the amount of buckets
It
of
can blind
debris that
instantly.
they fill up, and, yeah, their people are very diligent about
I
maintaining
did.
their site.
So, my question, again, long time ago, when they didn't have a problem, you wasn't our engineer then, correct?
Well, I've been
How long you been?
working with this authority since 2001. Was I your engineer of
No,
record? No.
Okay. So, when you came on and you did something up there, do you feel that it caused a problem, or was this something just because of the rain? With this, she said she never had a problem ever up there till we.
It is a problem that is partly created by the fact that she's served by a separate sanitary sewer system. Separate sanitary sewer systems are not designed to handle the amount of rainfall that occurred
Okay.
during that event.
Okay. All right. Anything else? What are we doing next? Are you done with your report?
I have requisitions to present. I have resolution number 25 of 2018. It's 2018 construction fund requisition number 3. In the total amount of $61,056.96. That's 8 invoices from various entities that make up that amount.
Need a motion to approve resolution number 25 of 2018.
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Mr. Taylor,
Second.
second by Mr. Schuster.
Mr. Taylor?
Aye.
Mr. Bardelli?
Aye.
Mr. Schuster?
Aye.
Mr. Marasini?
Aye.
Ms. Tucker?
Aye.
And my only other item is just to confirm that the interceptor cleaning and inspection pay application was paid directly by the authority out of your revenue fund. Correct.
Yes.
Okay.
Just one invoice.
Just one requisition, yes.
We'll run with this. You done?
I am.
Okay, old business. Did that. Did that. All right, policies. Did everybody have a chance to review these policies?
Yep.
Too many papers. Okay. Does anybody want to start with anyone specific? Let's start with the easy one, the Mon Valley Sewage Authority public comment period.
With the policies, if I think, all fairness, Mrs. Tucker, as a new board member, I think before we make any decisions, she just received an email, we should sit down and talk as, I guess, all 5 board members and see what direction we're going with these policies. I mean, I don't think we can act on these policies anyway I mean, without going step by step, we go over all these policies. It's looking like we'll be here a couple more hours. So I think that we should maybe, before next meeting, go into executive session, then do them all.
You cannot discuss those policies in executive session.
We can't?
No, you cannot. Must be done in public forum and then, acted on, either acted upon or not acted upon in a
Oh,
public
yeah, we
session.
can. So you never discussed this at all privately?
Okay.
Am I discuss?
Those policies?
Well, we can
I believe
discuss
we
with the
will.
ones you have
City
problems.
board member?
With any board member?
Yeah, you said we can't discuss this, right? We're board.
You can't have an executive session discussion as a board regarding
Policy.
policies.
But we can
That's correct.
discuss it individually.
That'd be correct.
Okay, no problem. I just think that we should look over it, and if there's some concerns,
She looked over it already.
you looked over all of it? Okay, well,
Anybody have any problems then with the public comment policy? It's the shortest one. That's why I started with it.
I don't see any problem with that.
Anybody else comment? Do I have a motion to adopt that policy, the public comment period policy?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Mr. Schuster,
I'll second it.
second by Mr. Bardelli.
Mr. Taylor?
aye.
Mr. Bardelli?
Aye.
Mr. Schuster?
Aye.
Mr. Marasini?
Aye.
Mrs. Tucker?
Aye.
Can any of us have a copy of that so we know what the public can and cannot say?
It'll be posted.
You'll post it?
Mhm.
All right, thank you.
You can get it, you can obtain a
It's just
copy as
saying
well.
you sign up to talk.
Oh, okay, that's
But
what that.
it's what we have been doing, it's just, this was handed out almost
Oh,
a year
I just,
ago.
I
so-
just asked if you changed anything.
No,
No.
the reason why we're doing this, Mrs. Bryce, because this board doesn't have any policies. So we're just adopting policies
Okay.
in 2018,
Fair enough.
19, sorry. All right.
Hey, which one we wanna do next?
Start from the beginning.
Alright, which one you have first?
Guidelines and procedures, it look like.
I got the drug testing policy, the hiring
The
policy.
drug testing policy, I have no problem with that.
Okay. Everybody else read the drug testing policy?
That's for when someone applies for the job, they'll be drug
Yes.
tested. I have no problem with that.
Alright, motion to approve the Mon Valley Sewage Authority pre-appointment drug testing policy.
One question,
Go
one
ahead,
question.
Ms. Tucker.
Who gets results of the test?
Authority
Comes to
office.
the manager,
Does everybody get to see it?
only the board members.
No, I don't know if we're,
More than one
I
board?
don't publicize that.
Well, board members can get a copy.
I imagine if a board member requests that they could, you know, I don't know.
I wouldn't take photocopies out of the office, I'll put it to you that way. You're allowed to review it as a board member?
Yeah, just review it.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, I would just not take a
No,
photo.
I'm not gonna
Yeah,
do
ask
all
for a
that.
photocopy of your mails or anything like that.
But
That's-
we ought to be able to look at it.
Are you sure?
Okay, I'm fine with that.
Or
Everything
did
else
you
is fine.
make that motion? We didn't do it.
we had a motion, I think we're waiting for,
No, we didn't.
no? Oh, I'm sorry.
started
I'm sorry. Alright, a motion to accept the Mon Valley Sewage Authority pre-employment drug testing policy.
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Mr. Taylor,
Second.
second by Mr. Schuster.
Mr. Taylor?
Aye.
Mr. Bardelli? Mr. Schuster?
Aye.
Mr. Marasini?
Aye.
Ms. Tucker?
Aye.
Okay. Hiring policy. I went down to the recommendations part. Number one, does an applicant need to have a current certification which equals or surpasses a plant requirement?
Where's that under?
Hiring policy, the number one note.
When you understand, when I put this together, I made,
I don't
I
have that
did
in my
what-
package.
it-
Where's it at, the hiring policy?
Just don't know, if we have an extra,
I brought mine from the mail.
Yeah, let's go ahead and read it.
Well, just so you understand, when I placed these together, there was no formal direction from this board as to what to do. So, you know, researching several different policies from several different either entities, we'll call them. This is what I consider the best of the best, and I presented that when I issued for the board's review 10 months ago, whatever that would have been. That on the bottom I'll have notations. I'm not sure what you may or may not prefer out of the policy itself, but those are just matters of potential discussion for board members, and whatever you feel you'd like to do with it, if anything at all, feel free to present that. And if the majority of the board, that's the will, then I will make the changes, and you can adopt such at your leisure after the change.
Can I make a comment?
Yes, miss.
Why can't we just go down and ask, number one, does anyone have a problem with that?
Okay, we could do that. Any available position to be filled shall be advertised appropriately in the newspaper of general circulation within the service area of the authority for at least one time. Additional advertisements shall be at the discretion of the authorization of the board of directors of the authority.
I think it should be more than one time.
Okay.
At least three times.
Yeah.
3 times? Okay. You
I'm gonna make notes.
Go ahead.
Right in a row, like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. In case if somebody missed one day,
Yeah, they have a chance to
then
see.
they have a chance.
I would suggest several days in between rather than
Doesn't matter.
three. I just suggest
3 advertisements,
That's
like
fine.
Monday,
Just 3.
Wednesday, and Friday, or Monday, Wednesday, and Tuesday of next week, or. Okay, number 2, applications shall be accepted for a period as set forth within the advertisement. Do we wanna get a direction as to how many, what period we're gonna let them apply? Like a 1-week period or month,
Look, how many applicants are you trying to, I think you should always get more. When I was in prison, they had to get, I wasn't in prison, I was working. They had to get at least 100 people to get at least 25 suitable applicants. If they couldn't pass the drug test, they couldn't pass the background test. There was something, so you gotta get more to get you good applicants. So, say you leave it open
3-week
until you
period?
get a certain amount.
It's up to us to how
Yeah,
long.
what do you think?
Yeah,
I mean, we could say.
You wanna
put it on the paper
advertise,
this week.
you wanna accept, like, make it a 2-week period to apply, 3-week period to apply?
2
To
weeks.
be determined.
Yeah,
2?
2 weeks. Let's move
To be
on.
determined.
okay, like 2 weeks.
2 weeks, yeah. The plant manager shall review the credentials of all applicants and discard those that may be in conflict with this or any other policy authority.
For that, plant manager will do all conditionals and discard for that be conflict with the policy authority. Now this means this, to look at the applications, what does this mean? What's this?
Yeah, he'll review all the applications first.
Okay, that's fine for that part.
Yeah. Then the plant manager shall interview the acceptable candidates for employment pursuant to the policy established.
That's okay for that one.
Okay. Anybody else
no,
just
no.
chip in if we're going, too
I think the
fast.
board should be involved in the interview process.
Well, I figured we'd let you
Yes.
do it first, then when we get down to the final 3, which is the next thing, the plant manager shall recommend 3 final candidates for employment and present the qualifications of each candidate to the board of directors of the authority, following any procedures as outlined by the authority policy.
Now I think
Once we have you narrow it down to
I
the 3
think that
top
the
people.
board members should sit there and they determine the final 3 policies, and then we go on and hire them.
Can I make a comment?
Go ahead, miss.
I think that they should be in on, like Tom had started to say, on the interviewing. One thing I learned from sitting in here for a couple months listening to these board sessions, you have no checks and balances. And when you have no checks and balances, sometimes people can take more authority than what they should. And I'm not pointing out nobody. But that's why even in the government, you got the Senate and the House. is supposed to keep anybody from just domineering and doing what they want. You gotta have checks and balances.
That's why I recommend that the board should be involved
This is
in
what
the
I'm.
interview.
This is why I'm saying.
Should
This
we
is why I
have-
agree with
Yeah.
you.
I don't think it should just be me.
And it's not going to be any set board members. I think it should be 3 because you always got to have that odd number to vote.
You can only have 2.
No,
We're only allowed to have
No.
two interview.
2. No,
Well,
still
no,
even
3.
did 3.
Three we
Each
have.
Board
one-
members and me.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Absolutely.
talking about.
Oh, okay, 2
Well,
board
then,
members.
I'm not a board member.
No,
We can't have 3 of us together.
No, I
She
said
she
2
said 2
board
board
members.
members.
2 board members.
and
Okay.
me and him.
That's
That
fine.
makes
Okay.
3.
I
So-
agree with that 100%.
And I think, like you said, 1 from each side. 1 Manessa.
No, what I'm
you don't
saying
wanna
is
do
it
like one
doesn't
Manessa
matter.
one.
I think it
Just
should be,
every time he interviews,
should be different
it should
board
be
members.
different board
Right.
members, not the same board members. Move them around.
Or whoever could show up.
That's it.
so just put it, so we agree that the
Rotating
board members for that number 3 plant manager should be the board members, scratch out plant manager then.
Board members and plant manager.
Correct.
The plan, yeah, and
2 blank.
at least
two board
and at
members.
least 2 board members.
Yes.
That's numbers,
That's
I don't have mine.
number
That's
4.
number 4.
Number 4.
Plant manager, just make sure I get the language correct, so I'll make these corrections.
Plant manager and 2 board
2
members,
board members.
whoever's available.
Wait a minute, the 2 board members,
Shall interview all acceptable candidates for employment.
and I should say plant manager, and from what I heard, plant manager and 2 board members, comma, which shall be,
Rotating.
which shall be established on a rotating basis within.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right?
Right, then we don't need number 5 then?
Nope.
Okay,
Let me wait. You're
go ahead,
having
take
one
your time, go ahead.
Basis, comma, everything else remains the same in there.
Yeah.
Line 5.
9
Strike.
5 is eliminated, yes.
Strike.
Yeah, I got it.
Oh, you found it?
Yeah, I got it. It was on
For probationary period consisted of 90 working days, consistent with the collective bargaining agreement.
It's okay.
We all good? All right.
Yeah.
Number 7, prior to the expiration of the 90 working days as set forth above, the plant manager shall present to the board of directors a report upon the candidate at issue regarding work performance due date.
Can I have a question on that?
Yes, ma'am.
Who sets up the report? It should be whoever's working with them the most. Then they should send it to you.
If it's Kathy, I can say that if it's a employee that's out in the field, okay, that it would be Sean, that we would discuss it, and then I would present
Let's
it.
just say Mac would come to me and we would discuss it.
And
All right.
that's the way it
It's
has
always-
been,
it's always been
in that way. And then, once it comes to the board, I would present it to the board, okay?
And number 8, the board of directors must determine by majority vote whether to continue the applicant's employment as a permanent full-time employee or discharge.
Yep.
All right?
For Ms. Tucker's benefit, so you understand, our collective bargaining agreement allows for a 90-day working day period for an employee hired in, under the contract, not management employees. But we'd still follow the same, all we've done is put in writing what has been occurring, over past years. Regardless of that, the contract permits you to have a part-time employee for 90 working days. And also, that's a probationary period, which if it's not working out, that employee is subject to discharge and if the board chooses based on a report. So that's just something that has been occurring, but it's.
That's not a problem. Where I come from, the prison, you served a whole year probation. And they expect you to be at the par for that whole year. So 90 days would have been easy.
Yeah, I was just trying to say even with what we have in the contract,
That's good.
so it didn't run afoul.
Management don't have to do that, do they?
Go through the same procedures.
I mean, no, their probationary period. They don't have that.
We did with Amy.
Yeah.
My probationary period, the day before I was hired, the board changed it from 90 days or whatever it was to 365.
I've done that.
And I'm not exactly sure of the number, but I know it was, okay, it was changed the day before to something else.
I can tell you that both Beth, as long as I've been here, Sean, Amy, and Beth have all been through that probationary period following a review before being hired as a full-time employee. That's accurate.
Right. Does any applicant need to have a current certification which equals or surpasses plant requirement certifications required and set forth by the DEP?
Nope.
See, I think we should interview everybody. If you have a license, we don't have to worry about training them.
Oh, you mean the applicants that's coming in?
Yeah.
I mean,
I mean, what order? B, A, what plant?
We're Class B.
We're Class B. If somebody
My-
comes
my-
in
my
here with a
question-
Class B license,
my question
I
is-
think we should at least interview them.
my question before,
If they already have one,
Yes.
I don't think they should be cut out, but
yeah,
if they don't have one, they still shouldn't be cut out.
yeah.
No, anyway, I'm just saying, yeah, we'll take
mean-
all applicants.
Yeah.
but
I mean, if they have one already. That's
Yeah,
fine.
but if they have one already, we
Yes.
should consider them.
Well, do you want to place it in the policy that, I think that's probably where you're getting to here with the comments period. Preference shall be given to those individuals that have, that reach the following criteria. Number one, plant certification is required using that language. We would include that in, and I don't know what else in there. It's been so long since I went
Okay, how would they get certification for that?
testing.
They might be working in another plant, like
No.
living in town, you know.
Other than that, if they're not working in another plant, so how would they
You
get
can't
it?
get it.
Open testing.
Well, then
Oh,
that
there
doesn't
is
give
it?
them a chance to get it.
I thought you had to work at a plant to test. Did they change that?
Not to take the test, I don't think, to receive your license.
Oh.
So you can have the
You
license.
can go past the test on your first
Right.
try. If you do not have plant experience, they will not give you your
Yeah, I went through that.
Actual license.
appropriate license.
Yeah, I passed my B on the first time, and I only had less than 6 months, so they would only issue me an E license.
Right,
Until
exactly.
you accumulate a year and 6 months, 2 years, where then they keep upgrading.
Time served gives you,
Yeah.
yes.
I'm just saying on here, I'm saying, say somebody lives in Denora, Menneson, and they happen to be working in Elkasan. And they don't wanna take that drive to Pittsburgh anymore, and they notice this and say, I can apply here at this sewage plant. I already have my license, can I still be considered for the job?
Yeah, you
That's a
yes,
no-brainer.
yes, yeah.
Yep.
So we're gonna indicate the separate line item, the preference, I don't know what's underneath there.
I don't like that preference though. I think both of them should be able to come in, and I just don't like that saying, I'm just because they got it, you don't know why they leaving the other place.
We could find out.
You know, some people won't,
I think that's the interview process. That's my opinion.
yeah,
Yeah,
well,
yeah, just cause they have the license don't mean we're hiring them either, like you
Okay.
said, you know.
alright, but we're done with that then, that's fine.
Okay, number 2, do the applicants, finalists have to undergo a criminal background check?
That's a no-brainer.
Okay, we're good with that. The applicants have to undertake a pre-employment drug test. I think we already did that, right?
Yeah, it's no problem.
Okay. Then that's it.
Yeah, that's it for that part.
Okay. Well, we need a motion to adopt this with changes, or just,
Yeah, we changed.
You can make them, you can make the motion to adopt pending changes, and then, it would be, I will send those for review to make certain what my language is what you're happy with. Once you say yes, then that would then take effect at that juncture.
I need a motion to adopt the Mon Valley Sewage Authority hiring policy with changes and to be approved by the board at a later date.
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Mr. Taylor,
Second it.
second by Ms. Tucker.
Mr. Taylor?
Aye.
Mr. Bardelli?
Aye.
Mr. Schuster?
Aye.
Mr. Marasini?
Aye.
Ms. Tucker?
Aye.
Okay, final one. Mon Valley Sewage Authority nepotism policy.
Where we gonna start reading from?
The director, it looks like.
Yeah, director means any person in that sense.
Alright, well, I don't know about anybody else, I'm gonna make my statement what I think. I don't like it at all. I wanna know why we have this now and it wasn't before. What changed from before to now that we put this policy in?
I was asked to develop a nepotism policy by the chairman.
I
And
asked for
I
it, you
draft-
got that?
I drafted the policy.
No, I'm looking for the page.
I just wanna know what the need for it is.
I was asked to do that, that's why I provided.
I'm not asking you that, whoever.
I
What was
I
the
asked
need?
him.
What was the need
I just
for it?
thought that the good old boy network should stop.
Which should have never been in here then.
That's why
So
we
why
have a
you don't-
nepotism policy.
My problem is, if it's been going on before, how you gonna cut it off now when you've been doing it?
By adopting this policy, we'll cut
Well-
it off.
I object to it.
I agree. I think if you're gonna put this in there, I have no problem saying mother, father, that's fine. I mean, all this other stuff, it just looks pre-identified. I mean, that's okay. If you wanna hire somebody's mother, father, or brother, I'm okay. Okay? This other stuff, I'm not agreeing to that.
If somebody would come in here and be your brother, your sister, your daughter, your son, if they know the job and they can do the job and they're qualified for the job, I see nothing wrong with it. But if you hire them and they don't know the job, you just put them in there because that's your relative and they don't know the job and don't do a good job, then you're out of order.
Any other comments?
I agree that we should, maybe break that down into specifics because I agree. I mean, it's been going on all this time. And now all of a sudden, you know, I understand some of it, but to put all this in there, I just think that we should phrase it in some different type.
What do you wanna take out?
I just think that if you, I mean, your father's okay, mother and brother and sister, I think that's the furthest.
Kids?
Huh?
Kids?
Of course. Can't hire your kids. I mean, all this other stuff.
You don't agree with there not being anybody on the board or borough council or city council?
What do you mean? Oh, yeah, that's down after, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, we can't, I mean, that's fine. I mean, you can't hire. My thing is here, we haven't done it before, and I agree with her, why now? I mean, I understand good old boy network, but, I mean, like, I'll give you a prime example. If you have a cousin that's well qualified for the job, why can't we hire him? Now, if it's your son or dad, I agree. Why? If you just wanna take
You wanna review this? You could cross out, everybody could cross out or add what they don't want, then we'll let Aaron look over it, then we'll try it again next month, after everybody makes their changes. Is that agreeable to everybody?
We can look at it again, but I don't think I'll change my mind on it.
Yeah,
I mean, no, I want you to go through and cross off what you find objectionable.
And is this the last part, the bottom? Oh, is this about the council, the next part?
Yeah, the
Oh,
guideline part, yeah.
Okay. So we're just gonna leave this, as far as relative stuff, open till next meeting?
Yeah, what about, you wanna check the guideline? Does anybody wanna go over just the guideline part?
Go ahead.
No applicant for full-time, regular, continuous employment who is relative of or who resides within any director, management level employee, any member of council of the city of Menneson and the borough of Denora, or the mayor of the city of Menneson or the borough of Denora shall be employed by the Mon Valley Sewage Authority. The policy established by this provision shall be made effective for all hiring decisions made subsequent to the adoption of this policy.
subsequent. Take me back to school. What's
Subsequent is once you adopt the policy, anything following the adoption is what's
Following?
anything following adoption of the policy, if it's adopted, is when it would take effect. In other words, you're not gonna take this and retroactively apply it to any
I know,
employee.
because there would be a whole lot of mess going on, huh?
It's no retroactive
One
application.
question.
Go ahead.
Okay, I'm working here. And then my father gets put on the board, then what do you do?
Nothing.
He can't if that goes
Nothing
through.
contained in this policy shall affect the employment of any person presently employed by the authority. That's handled in the last
Okay.
part.
That answered it.
According to the first part, we're not allowed to hire your father anyway. Right?
No, I mean, if he gets appointed to the board and I'm working.
No applicability.
Okay.
Would it make more sense if you should say, instead of shall be employed, shall be hired? That way, if the person's the mayor, you can't hire them, but if they weren't the mayor, they could be working for you, they're already there.
Very smart.
I don't know what you're talking about, you're just.
Well,
I
no,
don't
I'm
have in
sorry,
front of
so
me.
the
Sorry,
language
go ahead.
was, you went through all those of the north, shall be employed by the Mon Valley Sewage Authority. And I was saying, instead of shall be employed, should you just say shall be hired?
Yeah.
That way, if they're already an employee, that doesn't apply to them, you just can't hire somebody that's in all of those positions.
Yeah, well, that's what it's intended to mean. It's not, it doesn't
Just change
intend,
the word then.
doesn't mean, it states very clearly on the bottom. If the board feels I should change the word employed, that's fine, but it says right on the bottom, not to impact anyone who's currently working.
Are we okay with that first part, the guideline?
Nope.
Let's just go over all this the next meeting. That part.
Okay, we're gonna do that, all right. For now, we'll table the nepotism policy to the February meeting.
Now, February's meeting, that's when we do all the position change, correct?
Reorganization, yes.
Okay.
11th?
I don't have.
You have your,
The 14th, isn't it?
14th?
The meeting
That's a Thursday.
on Monday.
11.
11th.
Monday's 11th.
That it?
Let's move to the 12th.
That's it, ain't it?
11th for Monday.
Yeah,
but
I'm saying, I don't know what day the meeting was advertised as, we changed some.
February
11th,
11th.
okay, so it is the 11th, okay.
Okay, you don't wanna do A. B, hiring of office personnel.
Advertise it.
We already covered that, didn't we?
No, but.
No, we need a motion to promote
Advertise.
Amy to the office manager position. And then advertise for Amy's vacant position.
I'll make the motion.
Go ahead, Amy.
First off, you guys didn't make a motion to table that until
Oh, sorry.
next meeting.
We're gonna table, I need a motion to table the nepotism policy to the February meeting.
I make a motion.
Motion by Ms. Tucker,
Second.
Mr. Taylor?
Aye.
Mr. Bardelli?
Aye.
Mr. Schuster?
Aye.
Mr. Marasini?
Aye.
Ms. Tucker?
Aye.
now I need a motion to promote Amy to the position of office manager and advertised for the new position that she'll be vacating.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Mr. Schuster,
Second it.
second by Mr. Taylor.
Mr. Taylor?
Aye.
Mr. Bardelli?
Aye.
Mr. Schuster?
Aye.
Mr. Marasini?
Aye.
Ms. Tucker?
Aye.
Okay, I need a motion to credit Ruth and Randy Kuntz $936.80 credit pending execution of agreement identifying future payment obligations.
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Mr. Taylor,
Second.
second by Ms. Tucker. Got it
Mr.
back.
Taylor?
Aye.
Mr. Bardelli?
Aye.
Mr. Schuster?
Aye.
Mr. Marasini?
Aye.
Ms. Tucker?
Aye.
Okay, I need a motion for adjournment.
Is there,
Oh, sorry, is there any other business before the board?
yes, this is new business.
Yes, ma'am, go ahead.
would like to propose or make a motion to audit and accounting services, auditing and accounting services for the new year, for this year,
19.
2019. I don't like to come in on anything that I haven't been on without having things checked over. Then also legal services. You know, advertise for that auditing and counting, advertise for legal services for a new solicitor, advertise for insurance services, advertise for administration services, and also pension.
I'll make the motion.
Second?
Seconded. Oh,
I'll
you
make
asking for a second. I can't second my own motion. Did you make that?
Yeah, I'll make the motion.
Make
No,
the
I'll
motion.
second, I'm sorry.
Second. Call the roll.
This is just for advertising, right?
Yes, advertising.
What are we advertising for?
Advertising for auditing and accounting services.
Okay.
Advertising for legal services for a solicitor. Advertising for insurance services. Advertising for administration services and pensions. Clean sweep on them.
All right, Amy, call the roll.
Mr. Taylor?
Aye.
Mr. Bardelli?
Aye.
Mr. Schuster?
Aye.
Mr. Marasini?
No.
Ms. Tucker?
Aye.
All right. What are you making? Adjournment?
Oh, need a motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Taylor, second by Mr. Schuster.
Mr. Taylor?
Aye.
Mr. Bardelli?
Okay.
Mr. Schuster?
Aye.
Mr. Marasini?
Aye.
Ms. Tucker?
Aye.
That's just a review.
Meeting is adjourned.
Yeah. Everything.